Well, the Big D is here. Welcome to the Big D Speaks. Streams, even. And the Big D just wants to start by profusely apologising. He is a little bit late this evening. In fact, he's about a good hour late. Just about, anyway. The Big D got held up. He was training a little bit. He was at his Muay Thai class, and then he was doing some weights, and he just got held up, really. And Big D's got to keep fit, you know what I mean? The Big D's getting on a little bit. He needs to stay looking young and vibrant and all that good stuff, so he's able to do these live streams with as much energy that he brings to them. Anyway, the Big D apologises profusely. But remember, if you've got anything to say, please put it in the chat. The Big D reads all of the chat, and he is always interested in what is on your mind. Anyway, yeah, we have got a few bits and pieces to get through tonight because there's some interesting stories knocking around in the sporting media when it comes to Manchester United, and a couple of things that haven't really been reported just yet. And I'd be very surprised if Manchester United didn't actually sort of look into a couple of bits and pieces. But I just want to start with saying some good news from Fabrizio Romano. It looks like Rasmus Højlund is staying at Manchester United. Now, that's good news for the Big D, because the Big D likes Rasmus Højlund. The Big D understands that he's only young, and too much has been put on his shoulders since he signed for United. He's not the finished article yet, but he still has a lot of potential. I think he's still got a high ceiling. He is class on Football Manager. Take it from me. But even on that game, he needs a good 2 or 3 seasons before he kicks on and starts banging in 30 goals a season, you know. But I think that piece of news actually links quite nicely to the Calvert-Lewin news. Apparently, Manchester United are sniffing round 28-year-old Calvert-Lewin from Everton. Because, well, I mean, we do need a striker. He's not the striker that I wanted, necessarily, personally, and I very much doubt there's anyone watching this at any point thinking that Manchester United should be getting Calvert-Lewin from Everton. But the reason I bring that up is because Rasmus Højlund needs a more experienced striker to help him kick on. He just needs a little bit more tactical nous and a bit more tactical nuance to help him start putting the ball in the back of the net, or at the very least get in the positions to put the ball in the back of the net. Because, you know, I went to the match a few times last year, and I used to, and more often than not, I'd be sat in the Stretford end itself, and I can prove this by just looking at my videos. I've got quite a lot of content there from my seat in the Stretford end. And the odd time that Rasmus Højlund actually got himself in the right position, he actually scored, or at least he had the chance of a goal. And all he needs to do is stay in that 6-yard box, or as close to it as he possibly can, in the middle, and be there as a focal point for Amad Diallo, Diogo Dalot, for Bruno, or whoever to pass the ball to him. But more often than not, he's all over the place, and he's just not in the right place at the right time. And that's a big part of being a striker, a prolific number 9. It's being in the right position at the right time, and he hasn't quite mastered that yet. But that's something that comes with practice, nuance, and intelligence. And I think he can only learn that from a more experienced striker. Whether that's going to be Calvert-Lewin or not is a different kettle of fish. I've been saying they should be getting Jamie Vardy in. He would be the better shout on that front. He's a fox in the box. He's a proven, prolific Premier League goal scorer. He's got the record for the most consecutive goals in the Premier League that he took from Ruud van Nistelrooy, of all people. He's a Premier League winner. I believe he's a golden boot winner as well. So, just having him around on a 12-month contract, coming on for the last 10 minutes and playing League Cup matches and training with Rasmus Højlund day in, day out would be sort of, it would be worth its weight in gold, because if he's able to just sort of fine-tune Rasmus Højlund over the next 12 months, then, and let's say we paid him 100 grand a week or whatever to do that, because we'd be getting him on a free, right? Then that, however many millions it's cost for Jamie Vardy, would be like an investment in Rasmus Højlund. And if he was able to make Rasmus Højlund more prolific, then Man United, he's going to score more goals. Man United are going to score more goals. When Man United score more goals, they win more matches. When Man United win more matches, they've got a better chance to win more games. They win more games, they win more trophies. And they win more trophies, they make more money. See, it compounds. You need to invest a little bit to reap the rewards further along down the line. But yeah, so as I say, United are stiffing around Calvert-Lewin. Good grief. But I think it should be Jamie Vardy. But someone else who's on a free this summer, who's not been mentioned, and he would be able to do just as good a job as Jamie Vardy, if not better. It's one of the all-time footballing greats, Thomas Muller. He's available on a free transfer. And he would be an ideal signing for Manchester United. 12-month contract, and then he can go to Saudi after that and get his 1.5 million per week contract from the Saudis. But one season in the Premier League where he does something similar, that would be fantastic. And plus also, he can also play in the number 10 position as well. He can play in the number 9 position. He can bring on Diallo. He could help him. He could bring on Rasmus Højlund and Joshua Zirkzee as well. He knows Joshua Zirkzee because Joshua Zirkzee came through the Bayern Munich youth academy as well. He knows De Ligt, so he's got a mate there. So it would just be a nice fit, and I think, and he's got a big personality as well. He's a fighter, and he's quite punchy and stuff like that. I don't know if anyone's ever seen his interview right after he won the World Cup, and when Germany won the World Cup, I think it was 2014. I think he might have been one goal away from winning the Golden Boot in that tournament, but he didn't score in the final. And he didn't get the Golden Boot. And they asked him, are you sad that you didn't get the Golden Boot? And he said something along the lines, I don't give a shit. We won the cup. And it was just fantastic. And it's that kind of personality that Manchester United need. He's a proven winner. Got all the experience. I think he would be a nice addition. He could have a Henrik Larsson effect at Manchester United, potentially. So, yeah, I would go with Thomas Muller over Lewin or Jamie Vardy. I think there would be a cheaper option. Well, maybe not a cheaper option necessarily, but I think there would be a more astute option that would help bring on Rasmus Højlund. But, yeah, there hasn't been much movement on the Mbeumo situation, even though the big day predicted that we would have him signed by last Friday. Excuse the big D. Last Friday, we didn't even put a bid in for him, unfortunately, but that's all right. Doesn't matter. The big D's happy to admit when he's wrong. But from what I've read, it's looking like we are putting a bid together this week, and it's 65 million. I think the Brentford want that guaranteed, but I think there's going to be some significant sort of add-ons and whatnot. But, United are almost there with that, so I don't see that being too much of an issue. And plus, don't forget, we are in the new sort of PSR window, so we've got a little bit of leeway in the transfer window as well. So watch this space for news on Mbeumo. It'll be a really good signing, Mbeumo, actually. The more I think about it, 20 goals for Brentford last season. Even if he came to United and brought 15, say, That's a significant improvement on last season. And Cunha as well. He scored 1 or 2 goals, and if he brought in 10, there's another 25 goals. And, they're a lot more... Well, Cunha's very creative. So, and if we brought in, say, Jamie Vardy that helped Rasmus Højlund, then... And Rasmus Højlund, say, scored 10 goals. There's another 10. Bruno's going to chip in as well. We're going to get more confidence in attack. The team's going to be more confident scoring goals. And, the more we score goals, the more we win matches. The more we win matches, the higher up the table we go, the more chance we've got winning trophies. Yada, 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 yada. You get the picture. You get the picture. So, yeah. So, that's Mbeumo. Look for more movement on that this week. United are in pre-season. Ruben Amorim, he needs to hit the ground running. And as the Big D predicted... Well, he kind of got this one right. If I'm not mistaken, I suggested that if the players like Rashford hadn't been sold yet before pre-season started, then potentially they wouldn't be they wouldn't be training with the first team. And I'm kind of right, because they're not training with the first team, but they're not training with the under 21s. They have been given more time off. Further into July, despite the fact that apparently Marcus Rashford, he wants to come in for pre-season, but he hasn't spoken to Ruben Amorim. But they've been given more time off to secure a move away. But it's going to be a crucial few months for Ruben Amorim, because I've been saying for a while now in other videos, Ruben Amorim, he needs to hit the ground running for next season. And I mean, if Man United are still as crap in October this year as they were, for a majority of that last season, then I think Ruben Amorim is going to be in trouble come October, November time, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's sacked in January. But you never know. He might hit the ground running. Cunha might just be a marvellous piece of business, and Mbeumo might be a marvellous piece of business, and you never know, Rasmus Højlund might start scoring goals. Or moving on to sort of the striking situation, it's been well documented that Manchester United are after a prolific goal scorer up top, and if it's not going to be Rasmus Højlund, that's fine. But there's been plenty of names mentioned when it comes to Manchester United. Now, it's been documented that Arsenal are in advanced talks with Gyökeres. And, I mean, that's fair enough. Gyökeres wasn't necessarily my first choice to be a Manchester United player. I mean, he looks like a good player, but I have doubts. As I've said time and time again, he looks like he's hit his level. And I'm not sure he's going to be, like in Portugal, that is. Now, I'm not sure he's going to be the player that Arsenal want him to be, that's going to sort of kick them on and win the league. What is he, 27? I mean, if he was really the new Haaland, say, then he would have had his big move, at least 4 years before now, I mean, he could be a late bloomer like Jamie Vardy, as I've mentioned. Fair enough. And if he is, and he comes along and he scores 25 goals in the Premier League, then, I'll happily admit that I was wrong. But all I'm going to say is Gyökeres is not my first choice at Manchester United. But let me just put it on pause there, because Temesgen Deliso says, United, I want Osimhen, Mbeumo, Edison, Rios, Douglas Luiz, Vlahović, Emi Martinez to United. He's better for next season, please. Yeah, well, Temesgen, I hope I've pronounced that correctly. I understand your sentiments, and there's a couple of players there that I would like as well. Whether or not we're going to get all of those players, I very much doubt. Although, I think we might get a few of them. But that actually segues quite nicely into the situation with Osimhen. Apparently, Galatasaray have put a bid in of 47.3 million to Napoli, but they've flat out rejected it, and they want his release clause activated, which is £64.5 million. Now, he's only 26. 64.5 million for Victor Osimhen. I mean, in today's market for a goal scorer, I think that's class. I mean, yeah, that's who I would be going for. And I agree with Temesgen. Osimhen, I would have him in a heartbeat. And if we can get Mbeumo over the line and we put a sneaky bid in for Osimhen, and even if we sort of paid that release clause over the course of his contract, for instance, then I think that would be good business, really, because Osimhen looks the business, and he should not be playing in Italy, and he should not be playing in Turkey, and he certainly shouldn't be playing in Saudi Arabia, not when he's 26. I understand Galatasaray's, cheeky effort to get him for 47 mil, because he's only got 1 year left in his contract, but I mean 64 million for a player of Victor Osimhen's caliber is still rather cheap, I would say. So, I mean, I want United to get the Mbeumo situation sorted this week, and then that's that. And then I want them to concentrate wholeheartedly on getting that number 9, whoever it is. Because I think if they're going to get a number 9, they're going to have to pay 60 million anyway for whoever it is, whether it's Osimhen or whether they come in with a cheeky bid under the noses of Arsenal for Gyökeres, whoever it is. I mean, Ekitike, apparently he's going for 80 million, and he's not even the finished article. Whereas Osimhen, he's in his prime, he's ready to go, he's only 26, you get 4 years out of him, no problem. And even if we got him on a 4-year contract, and he smashes it for 18 months, and then he starts playing up, we've got resale value there, because, 28-year-old striker, you could get 80 million for a 28-year-old prolific Premier League striker. So I think he would represent value for money, and he would be sort of good business for Manchester United. So yeah, but there's no movement on that from United just yet, unless they're keeping their cards close to their chest, and unless United have said to Napoli, because Napoli have been sniffing around Garnacho, keep us abreast of the Osimhen situation, because we want to get this Mbeumo situation sorted out, and then we're going to see what we've got to play with after that. So you never know. Watch this space on Osimhen, but I would be very, very surprised if Man United don't go in for him at some point, or at least make inquiries like they have with Gyökeres. Which brings me on to another number 9. I mean, I was just looking at this guy. So, it's well documented that Juventus are sniffing around Sancho, and they've mentioned as part of that Dusan Vlahović. They are desperate to get him off the wage bill because they don't have that kind of cash flow in Italy. Not anymore. And Juventus certainly don't have it. So if Vlahović is not banging in 40 goals a season, then they're deeming him as surplus to requirements. And he seems to be a little bit more of a confidence kind of player, does Vlahović. However, that's fine. That's fine. He looks a feisty player, and I was just looking at some stats of his. And the guy's 6'3". I didn't know he was that big. He's a big lad, and he's got a pretty decent goal-scoring record. I mean, he scored 43 goals in 104 appearances for Juventus. That's not bad. And he's got roughly the same for Fiorentina, 44 goals in 98 games over a 4-year period. And he scored 14 for Serbia in 36. So, I mean, what's that? I mean, roughly a goal every 2 games, something like that. That's not bad. That's not bad. Please forgive the Big D and his mathematics. He wasn't a brilliant mathematician back in the day. He was more of a, a humanities kind of guy, and a bit more creative as opposed to calculus or anything like that. But you get my gist. Roughly a goal every 2 games, something like that. But he did win Serie A Best Young Player of the Year after an impressive goal-scoring form in the first half of 21-22. And Juventus paid 70 million euros for him. Now, I just want to look at his style of play here. Okay, so this is what his style of play is here, according to Wikipedia. Vlahović is a complete striker known for his physicality. Now, that's good for the Premier League. His technique and eye for goal. He excels at picking up the ball in central areas or the inside right or left channels and maintaining possession. That's good. That would suit Amorim. He has multiple facets to his hold-up and link play. Excellent. That's fantastic because, he could link up with Cunha, Bruno, Diallo, and Mbeumo. His best assets are his strength to hold up the ball and then his ability to turn and dribble past the first defender. This guy sounds class. Now, I have looked him up on YouTube as well. He's got some pretty good goals. When playing for Fiorentina, he often received the ball under pressure from either a long ball or linking with his midfielders. He's a very efficient ball carrier, and his primary way to retain possession and circulate the ball is to use his strength in the contact and to use his superior dribbling ability to evade his marker. This guy is very quickly becoming my first choice. Number 9 for Manchester United, and Juventus are desperate to sell. He's able to draw in opposition defenders and create space for his teammates or for himself with dribbling. Vlahović is potent and clinical in the penalty box and is a devastating finisher in the penalty area, as he is able to hold his position in order to pin the opposition back into their box before swiftly making a movement into the channels as his team look to locate areas within the final third. His playing style has led him to be compared to... What a comparison this is! His playing style has led him to be compared to Cristiano Ronaldo, Erling Haaland, and Jamie Vardy. I mean, I like Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy's class. He was in the Premier League, but sorry, no disrespect to Jamie Vardy. As I say, I'd like him at United as a Mr. Miyagi figure to Rasmus Højlund. But I just found that quite humorous, really, to have Cristiano, Erling Haaland, and Jamie Vardy in the same sentence there. Sorry, Jamie. No disrespect, my friend. But yeah, I mean, wow. This guy sounds absolutely class. And his idols, his footballing idols are, well, one of them is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. And we all know how well he did at Manchester United. So, yeah, I mean, he sounds absolutely class. Dusan Vlahović. He is my number one pick for Man United to sign him. Yes, Vlahović. That's who the Big D wants. Ruben Amorim, Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Make sure you get that done. Just give them Sancho and take Vlahović. Nice swap deal. Nice swap. Nice and clean. Done and dusted. Let's have a little look. D-Post. What is he saying here in the chat? Just remember, all those watching, please, any thoughts in the chat? The Big D reads all of the chat, and he is always interested in what is on your mind. So, D-Post, buy the best under-20 talents now and build the greatest team ever in 4 years. Yes, excellent. I can tell D-Post that you play Football Manager, and you are well aware of FM Scouts. Best Wonder Kids every year in that game, because that's usually a very good strategy to win Champions League titles in a very efficient financial way. So I agree, D-Post. Good shout. What else is he saying here? These players from other competitions can't match the intensity and quality of the Premier League. I'm not sure I agree with that, D-Post. I understand your sentiments. And that has obviously happened. But I think a player like Victor Osimhen, who's he's a big lad, I think he could handle the Premier League. Yeah, no problem. And from what I've just read there and what I've seen from Dusan Vlahović, he looks a big, strong lad, and it just might suit his game in the Premier League, to be honest. So those two players in particular I think, would suit that. But yeah, thank you for the comment there, D-Post. I think you've commented before in the past, and from what I recall, it's always been a very good comment. So please keep them coming. I look forward to the next one. So now we are on to... Cunha. He was in very early, apparently, in pre-season. He was in, I think, about before 8 a.m. to sort himself out, and he's been given the number 10 jersey. D-Post says, Glory MU. Yes, D-Post. Glory MU indeed. Hopefully Ruben kicks on and he gets his players that he needs, and hopefully he doesn't have any excuses and he's able to kick United on. I'd laugh my head off if Man United won the league next season. I would. Whether that's going to happen is a different kettle of fish, but you never know. Anyway, so Matheus Cunha, he has got Rashford's number 10 jersey. I mean, it's writing's on the wall for Rashford, even though apparently he wanted to come into pre-season, but he's been given time off. But he's got his heart set on signing for Barcelona. Now, I mean, it has heated up a little bit with regards to Rashford going to Barcelona. But the thing is, with Rashford going there, he's going to have to take a hit on his wages to go there, because they're not going to pay £300,000 a week, or euros or whatever, for someone to sit on the bench. Because unless Rashford goes there and he just suits Spanish football and he just starts blitzing it, because maybe he'll just suit it. I mean, look how good Antony was in Spanish football. Rashford could go to Barcelona and bang in 30 goals. I mean, look at Rafinha. He's absolutely smashed it this past season for Barca. And I don't recall him being that good when he was at Leeds United. I mean, he was good, but was he that good? But he's gone there. He suits the style. He suits the system. And he's given Messi numbers this season. So fair play. So Rashford could go there, challenge him on that left wing, and just start banging it in. And do you know what? I hope he does. Maybe he's just fed up at Man United there. So... But the thing is, apparently Barcelona are sniffing after Luis Diaz. So I don't know if this is a legit thing, or if they're just putting this out there to sort of, because I imagine Rashford's people are negotiating with Barcelona at this point, Barcelona and Man United and whatnot, to see if they can sort of lower a fee and lower the wages and all of that. It's all part of the negotiation games and tactics and things like that. So it's not uncommon for football clubs to, put it out in the press that they've got, if you're not going to play ball contract-wise, then, we've got someone else lined up that potentially would play ball. And in this case, could be Luis Diaz. But I don't think Luis Diaz is leaving Liverpool, not now after the unfortunate accident with Diogo Jota. Obviously they're a little bit depleted now in the attacking areas because of Jota not being there anymore. So I highly doubt that they're going to let Luis Diaz go this summer, unless they've got someone lined up. But I think they're after a number 9 as well, to be honest. Liverpool. So I can't see that happening. Also, Bayern Munich are sniffing around Rashford as well. So, maybe Rashford and United are playing the same kind of game as well. So maybe, they've asked Bayern Munich to leak that they're after Rashford as well to, get things going a little bit. So who knows? Who knows what's going on? But I don't know, actually, because the Germans are quite astute. I'm not sure that they would have agreed to that. But maybe Man United leaked it. Who knows? But the point is, I've heard that I've read Barcelona and Bayern Munich are both sniffing round Rashford. But the writing is on the wall for Rashford. He's lost his number 10 jersey. He wants to come back and train in pre-season, but Ruben Amorim's not going to want that. He wants to just work with the players that he knows he's going to use. And that's why Rashford, Garnacho, Malacia, Antony and Sancho have been given more time to find a new club. But if they don't, then they'll be expected to come back for pre-season, you know. Again, just to reiterate, if you've got any questions, if you've got any comments, if you've got any opinions, please put them in the comments, in the chat, sorry. The Big D reads all of the chat, and he's always interested in what is on your mind. Excuse the Big D. Oh, it's lovely, that. Big D's very thirsty. He's had a hard training session this tea time. But yeah, so I'll tell you what we'll do. Just to round this out, that's all the news for now. But just to round this out, the Big D is going to do a little bit of fun. He's going to have a little bit of fun, and he's going to answer a nice little ChatGPT question about Manchester United to see what the crack is. What can you ask the Big D that would be a fun question for my YouTube followers regarding Man United? Here we go. So, where are we here? Okay, this is a good one. So, right, I like these kinds of questions. So, what I want to know from my viewers, there's 4 here at the moment. What I want to know is, which Manchester United legend from the past, could be any player. The only caveat is, they have to be retired now, right? You can't just say bring back David De Gea or Cristiano. You've got to pick a player from Man United's past that would suit Ruben Amorim's system now, and that would obviously help Man United kick on. Who would you pick? The Big D would pick. Remember, put your thoughts in the chat, and I want to know why, right? The Big D's got a lot of favourite players over the years, and this current Man United team need quite a few things really for it to be truly ready to challenge for the Champions League, because that's the aim long term. It's not just to win the Premier League, it's to challenge for the Champions League. The team needs to be complete. Now, if you look at the 99 team, if you look at the 08 team, that won it under Fergie, right? The team and the squad was complete, right? You had the perfect players in all the positions. It was all tactically astute, and they had the perfect replacements for for each position, right? So if Roy Keane wasn't playing, Nicky Butt would play. If Ryan Giggs wasn't playing in '99, they'd slot in Jesper Blomqvist. I'm not saying Jesper Blomqvist was as good as Giggs, but he was a worthy substitute. Do you know what I mean, right? If Dwight York wasn't playing, he'd play Teddy Sheringham, right? Okay. Now, this particular team, for it to be perfect to win the Champions League, we still need a prolific number 9. We still need a dynamo in midfield. And we still need 2 world-class wing-backs. And we need a world-class goalkeeper as well. So we're still at least 5 players away from winning a Champions League. But out of all of those positions, if I could only pick one player that Manchester United need the most right now, this summer, if we could get in the DeLorean from Back to the Future and ask Doc to go back in time and get one player, for me, it would be Ruud van Nistelrooy. This team is crying out for goals. I think everywhere else is solid enough for now, but we need goals. Can you imagine this team under Ruben Amorim with Matheus Cunha and Mbeumo and Ruud van Nistelrooy up front, supported by Bruno Fernandes? that would be absolutely devastating. It would strike fear in the Premier League because immediately Ruud van Nistelrooy would be the best striker in the league. Because just remember, when Ruud van Nistelrooy was playing football, he was up against defenders like Sol Campbell and Tony Adams and Keown, defenders that would like knock lumps out of you, So if he's in this era, this easy era for strikers, if he's a better striker than Erling Haaland, and if Erling Haaland can score 50 goals in a Premier League season now, then Ruud van Nistelrooy could easily do that, no problem. And just remember, Ruud van Nistelrooy scored about, I think in his first season for Man United, he scored about 44 goals, and then it was something like that in all competitions. And then the season after that, he scored about 46 or something. It was something like that. Anyway, do you know what? I am going to look at this. I'm going to look at this, actually. Ruud van Nistelrooy. Let's see. Ruud van Nistelrooy. Man United stats. First 2 seasons. All competitions. Here we go. So in Ruud van Nistelrooy's first 2 seasons for Manchester United, beg your pardon. In his first season for Man United, 01-02, he scored 36 goals in all competitions. So he scored 36 goals in 49 appearances. Wow. That was 23 goals in the league in 32 appearances, 10 goals in the Champions League, and he was the top scorer in the Champions League last year. And in that season, he won Pierre for Players Player of the Year and Sir Matt Busby Player of the Year. In his second season, he scored 44 in 52 games. And there was 25 goals in 34 appearances, and he won the Golden Boot, and that was in the Premier League. And he won the Golden Boot that year, as well as winning the Premier League. Let's see how he did in the correspondence seasons. What about the other seasons? Let's see what he said there, because there was a time when he had a little bit of an injury as well, but he was still fairly prolific. Now, in those first 2 seasons, he still had Beckham help supply him as well. But then, obviously, after his second season, Beckham had gone by then. So I don't think he scored as many goals. So let's see. Wow. Okay, so even in his third season, he still scored 30 goals across all competitions in 42 games, and we weren't as good that season. Wow. And then 04-05, he did miss a chunk of the season due to injury. And for some reason, it's not saying why. Hang on, it's not saying what his stats are. Let's see, 04-05. So in the 2004-2005 season, and he missed a lot of games. He only played 27 times, but he still scored 16 goals in all competitions. Can you imagine how much a player who scores 16 goals in 27 games in all competitions, how much they would cost now? And that's a season when he was top scorer. Sorry, that's the season when he missed a lot of games. Now let's look at his final season at United. He played regularly early on, but he had reduced minutes towards the end because he fell out with Fergie. But he still scored 21 league goals, and that was the second in the Premier League. That was the second highest in the Premier League, and that's a strong tally despite limited starts. So he consistently scored 20 plus goals in each season for United. So he was reliable and he was elite. And even in his injury hit season in 04-05, I think he was the Champions League top scorer. Let's see. Champions League top scorers in the noughties. Wow. So Ruud van Nistelrooy has been the Champions League top scorer 3 times. In 01-02, he scored 10 goals. In 02-03, he scored 12. And in 04-05, when he was injured a lot, he scored 8. Now, to put that into comparison, so his highest amount of goals in the Champions League alone was 12 in the Champions League for Manchester United in that one season. And he's the only one that's hit that number in the entire decade of the noughties. Now, bear in mind, players that were top scorers in the Champions League during that period of time were players like Messi, Ronaldo, Kaká, Shevchenko, Fernando Morientes, and Raul. So, in the first season, so from 2000 to 2001 to 2009 to 2010, these were the top scorers in each season, and this is how many goals that they scored. So, Raul was the first with 7 in the first season of the noughties. The second season, it was Ruud with 10. Third season, it was Ruud with 12. The fourth season, it was Fernando Morientes for Monaco. He scored 9. Then it was Ruud again with 8. Then it was Shevchenko with 9. Then it was Kaká with 10. Then Cristiano with 8. Then Messi with 9. And then Messi again with 8. So, yeah, Ruud van Nistelrooy is my choice for one legend player to slot into Ruben Amorim's system. If we could borrow Doc's time machine from Back to the Future. But D-Post, let's see, what have you said? Eric Cantona. Yeah, okay, fair enough. I mean, I have a controversial opinion about Eric Cantona. I feel as though Eric Cantona wasn't world class. He was brilliant for United at the time. He was. In the 90s, he was brilliant. But bear in mind the context of Eric Cantona's time at Manchester United. He was the best player in the 4th best league in the world. The best league in the world at the time was Serie A. So all the best players went there because they were paying the best money in Serie A. You know, all the best players were like Van Basten, R9, Batistuta, Diego Maradona, Alan Boksic, all those, Alessandro Del Piero, Roberto Baggio. They were the best players in the world at the time, and they all played in Serie A. Now, Eric Cantona was class in England, but if he was sort of doing what he was doing for United in Serie A for AC Milan, then fair enough, he'd be world class, but he wasn't. If he was taking France to a World Cup and being the main man, then fair enough, but he wasn't. In fact, when he was the main man for France, France didn't actually qualify for USA 94, unfortunately. If he was taking Manchester United to the Champions League final and making the difference and winning the Champions League with Man United, then fair enough. But I don't feel as though Eric Cantona was world class. But if you think he was D-Post, then fair enough, mate. Fair enough. I mean, at the end of the day, these are opinions. It's just football, you know. But where would you play Eric? Where are you going to play him? Because he was more of a number 10, was Eric Cantona. You know, he was an old school number 10. He played behind a proper number 9, you know. So you'd have Eric Cantona alongside, say, Andy Cole or Mark Hughes. Well, Mark Hughes wasn't really a number 9. He was more of a target man, really. But still, the point is, Eric Cantona would play off the front striker. You know, so you would have to put him in one of those number 10 positions for Ruben Amorim if Eric Cantona was going to slot into this particular side. So you'd need to drop Diallo or Cunha or Mbeumo or Bruno. So, who are you going to drop, D-Post? Who are you going to drop, my friend? But still, good comment. Fair enough. I think a lot of people would pick Eric as well. He was a legend. Loved Eric. He provided some fantastic moments for Manchester United. And, yeah, Cantona. But yeah, I think that's a good place to finish. Thank you to those who made a comment in the chat. I always appreciate that. I always like to know what's on my viewers' mind. Still, I mean, this live feed is going to be posted. So if anyone is going to sort of watch this that's not live, please, thoughts in the comments. The Big D reads all of the comments, and he's always interested in what is on your mind. Anyway, the Big D has really enjoyed tonight. He's lasted 46 minutes. I thought tonight was going to be 20 minutes tops, to be fair, but the Big D can go on and on and on and on and on. So if you didn't enjoy that, my apologies. If you did, I'll see you in the next one. Anyway,